Welcome to our winter hat class. I have pre-sketched a winter hat onto my surface. I am using canvas paper today. I'm going to show you a couple of options of ones that I like. And then also we're going to need a palette of some sort, so you can use either palette paper, which is what I'll be using in this video, or you can use a paper plate, just something to put your paint on. I hope you enjoy this video. All right, let's pour our paint. You're going to need whatever paint colors you want to use, but I'm going to use the primary colors. So I'm going to use a blue. This happens to be aqua. It's called Bahama Blue by Americana. And then I'm also going to need white. And I'll need some yellow because that's another primary color. This is Primary Yellow by Americana, but you can use whatever you have. As you can see, I'm almost out of that one. And then we're going to need a little bit of black. You don't need very much. Again, you can use whatever brand you happen to have. And then the last of the primary colors is red. This one that I'm using is Primary Red by Americana. These are craft paint, very affordable, but they also do a great job. All right, let's prep our surface. So I like to spray mine just a little bit with a spray bottle. You could also brush on just a little bit of water if that would be easier if you do not have a spray bottle. And then we're going to start mixing blue and white on our canvas. I don't mix this on my palette, I mix it on the canvas so that I can see those brush strokes and have that kind of different dimension within the background. I rarely mix on my plate, but there are obviously some times that that's necessary, and you'll see that later in the video. You're going to want to make sure that you're getting everything covered. So you want to use plenty of paint on the background so that all the little nooks and crannies of the paper or the canvas get covered up, and that you have a nice even coating of paint. If it looks dry, or if you can see little like crackly places coming through or parts of the paper still, you're going to want to use more paint in those areas. And you're just going to work your way all the way around whatever shape you sketched out on your canvas. You wouldn't have to do this exact shape. You can kind of do whatever you want. You could freehand it, however you want to do it. It just makes it easier to have a white base in the background for some of these upcoming steps. So that's why I sketched it. Then you're going to want to make sure that you wash your brush really well when you're done. You can use a cup, you can use a coffee cup, you can use whatever you can find that's old and that your parents let you use if you're a kid watching this. And we're just going to swish that around, and then we're going to wipe it off on a towel. I have a paint towel. You can also use paper towels. All right, back to our painting. We're going to make snow. So we're going to splatter snow in the background. So I'm going to take white, move it over to the side, and I'm going to wet it down really, really well. Adding quite a bit of water to it so that it's nice and fluid. Doesn't need to be super drippy, but it does need to be really loose. And that's going to help us do what we're about to do. When you get it all mixed up with your brush, you're going to rub most of the paint off of the brush so that you don't have big clumps on your brush, because if you have big clumps on your brush, you'll have big clumps of snow on your canvas. You can either use your finger, your other hand, or a palette knife, and you're just going to use it as leverage to tap your brush with white paint all over the canvas in the background so that it looks like snow. And you keep adding to it until you have the amount you're happy with. The harder you hit, often the bigger the blobs will be. That will also be, if you have a lot of paint on your brush, you'll have bigger blobs. So you want to get most of the paint off so that you can kind of have more control over where the splatter goes. I'm going to take some modeling paste. There's lots of different brands of this too. You just want something. And then you're going to mix it over to the side with a little bit of white paint. And I use my palette knife just to rub that in, combine the two, and get it to where it's a good consistency. And then I'm going to start to kind of smooth that over the main part of our hat. We're going to use this to create texture, because this is a texture medium, so that it looks a little bit more like a knit cap. At first, I'm just kind of getting it on there and trying to get a fairly even, coating of the paint and modeling paste so that it covers that area. Because I'm going to leave this area white, I'm just, making sure that I get all of the canvas covered. Then once you get it all on there, you can make different designs within that so that it takes on that texture and it will dry however you leave it. So I'm just going up and down and side to side here to create kind of that knitted look. All right, so we're going to go on and do the rest of our hat. I'm going to add a little bit of white to the yellow paint. The reason I do this is it's called grounding. And what it does is make the yellow a little bit more opaque so it covers up better. It doesn't change the color very much, but it also does make a big difference when you're painting. I often do this when I'm using craft paint. It just doesn't have the best pigment necessarily, and so this is kind of a way to cheat the system a little bit. And I'm going to paint the lower half of the hat with this yellow, making sure that I'm covering up my pencil lines and I'm covering up, all of the canvas in the background and getting everything in that area. All right, and now we're going to make a little bit of gray. The key to know about gray is it's white with a little bit of black added to it. That makes light gray. If you want a medium gray, you would take white and add even more black to it. That would make medium gray. And then if you want a dark gray, you add even more black. What you don't want to do is start with black and add white, because it just won't get to the color that you want without using a ton of paint. So always start with white and then add a little bit of black at a time to get the color and tone of gray that you are wanting. I'm just going to make some stripes and add a little bit of things down here at the bottom. You can make dots down here. You could make diamonds. You could make whatever shape you wanted. You can personalize it however you would like. Next, I'm going to ground the red, so the same principle as with the yellow. I take a little bit of white and add it to the red. It just makes it cover a little bit better for me. And then you can see here, I'm not staying within those lines. I'm making it a little bushier, a little spikier for that little top. I'm also going to add a little bit of white in this area just to give this top part a little bit of movement. It'll keep it from looking so flat and adds a little bit more personality to our hat. I don't work it all the way in. I let the brush strokes kind of sit there. That helps with the texture as well. And I'm going to add a little bit more white to the bottom and just play with that until I'm happy with the way that it is looking. All right. Next, we're going to add some dots to our main part of our hat so that the main part of our hat is black and white. Again, you can use different colors. You can wait until the white is all the way dry. And I'm just kind of tapping on black with a kind of medium flat brush. I'm not making perfect dots, but you certainly could if you wanted to make more of a polka dot. I just want to give kind of that feel to the painting. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Next, we're going to dampen down some gray, adding a little bit more black than we did earlier so that it's a darker gray. It's almost black, but it's not quite. And if you wet it down, this brush, which is a small round, will work so much better for you. And I'm just kind of gently, loosely outlining the cap. You'll see that I'm not staying within the boundaries of where those pencil lines are. I'm trying to make it a little looser. Just makes it more fun. And I think it gives it a better effect. And then you can have a little bit more fun with it because you're not trying to be perfect. So you'll see I'm just kind of quickly putting that on there, not staying within those parameters, adding the little details to the painting. Make sure to sign your name so you'll remember what year it was that you completed this painting. I hope you enjoyed painting Winter Hat with me, and I hope you'll continue to practice and play in the paint because practice is what helps you improve and helps it be even more fun. Thanks for joining me.